I think they're at Mama's house. That's a reminder.
All right, see if yours is working. All right, we're good to go. Good afternoon. I hope everybody can hear us. Welcome to the final defense for Angelique Burris. With us today is Ms. Brown from Service Hearts and Hand, who is a partner and committee member. Thank you again, Ms. Brown, for agreeing to serve on Angelique's committee and being with us today. With me today is my colleague, Dr. Betsy Jones from the faculty here at Gardner Webb. We also have Joanne DeVoe, who is a doctoral candidate herself, and Angelique's husband, Chris. So welcome, everybody. Without further ado, Angelique, I'll turn it over to you to get started.
Today, I will be presenting my dissertation in practice. Is it being recorded?
Yes.
Okay. Today, I present my dissertation in practice, and it is entitled The Essential for Leaders to Motivate Volunteers and Workers. My partnering organization is called Servants Hearts and Hands, and their mission is to give the homeless food and supplies that nurture the soul, make them feel cared for, and provide strength for their journey. This nonprofit is in partnership with Urban Kitchen Ministry, and this organization began about 5 years ago. The owner, Eurisha Brown, is a college graduate. She is very active, responsive, and accountable to all the needs of her organization. Servants Hearts and Hands started with only 4 volunteers. Currently, there are 17, including me and the paid kitchen workers that assist with serving the homeless. When asking Ms. Brown, what keeps you up at night? What are the challenges that your organization faces? And she shared with me that the significant challenge is that the volunteers and workers are not consistent. This led me to my literature review and research questions, which include: what motivates volunteers and workers to be consistently involved with one organization over another that has the same mission? How do leaders of organizations motivate volunteers and workers to be consistent in their organizations? What actions do leaders consider before engaging with volunteers and workers? What action steps are needed by the leader of the organization to form a good relationship with volunteers and workers? When researching, I noticed themes that started to emerge. The first theme was social connection. Lanier states that we all need social connection. It influences our individual health and our society. There are 2 relationships that we have for social connections. They are bonding relationships, where we have similar interests, similar circumstances, and possibly similar demographics. The next relationship where we have social connections is the bridging relationships, where we have unrelated interests and circumstances and situations. Both of these relationships keep us socially connected and feel like a small or extended family. My second thing is engagement or commitment. The SENA states that organizational commitment takes longer to develop than organizational satisfaction. In other words, you can be satisfied with an organization, but not committed. And commitment predicts the intent to remain with an organization. So you have commitment here, and then you have a person's mental health, and interceded in between is the engagement. So engagement is extremely important. And Hart says that there are ways that engagement can be damaged. Insufficient support from others, lack of essential information, inadequate equipment and supplies, lack of overseer, absence of other volunteers and workers, and no direction for volunteers and workers. All of these can damage engagement. If you've ever worked in an organization or volunteered for an organization and these things have happened, you remember how it probably caused you to disengage. Ostandler stated that it's important for organizations to know how to keep their volunteers for long-term commitments. This knowledge is important for organizations because of the influences and values the volunteers give to their communities and the groups they serve. Another reason it is extremely important for organizations to be able to support volunteers is due to this impact that it has on the actual volunteers themselves. The cost and time that comes with volunteer turnovers can be extreme. This is due to the reduced optimism and decreased stability to serve the public with frequent turnovers. Leadership needs to understand that their behavior influences the morale and the motivation. Ostandler also stated supportive leadership that allows volunteers to have autonomy will affect their motivation. This means that taking a volunteer's uniqueness into consideration is the key to maintaining volunteers because volunteers look to leadership as either supportive or controlling. Leadership should take into consideration the experiences and the views that may have occurred within the volunteers' lives prior to them coming to their organization. Leaders play a chief role in the ability to draw, coordinate, place, and retain volunteers or workers because of the producing feelings of control or independence they choose to provide. Okay, so I'm going to start my theoretical framework with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All right, let's get into it, shall we? Maslow's motivation chart applies to the human personal experience as well as work experience or needs. So Maslow says that you start at the bottom of his chart, and it's important to note that Maslow finds that the bottom level needs have to be met first before you move up to the next level. So the bottom level starts with basic physiological needs, where we have a need for water, food, sleep, breathing, health, air, shelter. These needs must be met before we go to the next level. So once you have your food and shelter and things like that, then you move up to the safety needs and security. So safety needs include protection, law, order, stability, security of employment, of your body, resources, keeping your home safe, things like getting car insurance and homeowners insurance. Those are the safety needs that must be met. Then once those are secure, Maslow says you move to the love and belonging need, which includes friendship, family, social interaction, intimacy, affection, which goes back to the social connection that I mentioned before. Then once those needs are met, Maslow states you go to the esteem needs that we have, where our status, our prestige, recognition, achievement, self-respect, confidence, respect of others, and others respecting you. Those needs come into play at this point. And then finally, you move up to the top level of needs, self-actualization. These include personal growth, fulfillment, working in your purpose, meeting deadlines, intellectual needs, the passions and creativity, problem solving, the desire to be the best that you can be. That is the self-actualization need. So when it comes to working in an organization, Maslow's theory can be applied to business owners, and nonprofit businesses. So for each need that employees and volunteers have, there are questions here. Are the basic needs of employees being fulfilled? Are employees able to feed themselves well, pay their rent and bills with the salary offered? Those are the basic physiological needs that employees can ask themselves, and also employers can ask themselves, and employees can ask themselves to see if your basic need is being met at your current job. Then you move to the safety need. Do you offer a safe working environment? Is there job safety and security for employees? The belongingness and love needs. Do the employees feel wanted? Do employees feel like they are part of a team? The esteem needs. The questions are, do employees or team members feel respected? Are the jobs you're assigning affecting their self-respect? And self-actualization. Are the intellectual needs being fulfilled? Do employees get the feeling of meeting targets and deadlines? So when someone is on this level or has this need, these are some questions that the employees need to ask to see if they're meeting those motivational needs that we have. And so these are some ideas that can be put into place and offered at businesses to help meet Maslow's theory of needs. And it starts at the bottom. This is the basic and physiological need. Do you have a good paycheck? Do they have a snack bowl, a free lunch, or a vending machine? It's very hard, at least it's hard for me, to work when I'm hungry. So that's a need, having a vending machine at a job. The next need, safety and security. How secure is the building? Do you swipe your card? Are there cameras? Does the receptionist control who comes in and out of the building? Is the air clean in the building? And then you move to the belongingness and love need. Okay, do we socialize at work? Do we bond over being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan? Are there activities that happen, such as Christmas parties? Those kind of things. Then you move to the next need, which is the esteem need. Okay, are we getting any kind of praise for our recognition? Are there perks, bonuses, celebrations for goals that we meet as a team? Are there bridal showers? Those kind of things. And then the top level, self-actualization needs. Do the employees have, or are you able to get training and professional development so that you can be the best at what you do? Are there special projects that you can work on? Or do you have freedom to try to be innovative? Okay, so the other theory that I chose was the Herzberg two-factor theory. And as you see on the left in orange, these are called hygiene factors. And they don't really motivate people like you would think they would. If it does, it's a short-term motivation. And they're working conditions, co-worker relations, policies and rules, supervisor quality, and the salary. So Herzberg says that these factors decrease the job satisfaction. And then if you look on the right in green, these are the motivating factors that Herzberg talks about that are long-term motivators. And they're needed for individual growth. They're internally generated motivators. Production improves when these are in place, and performance increases. And they are achievement, recognition, responsibility, the work itself, advancement, and personal growth. Okay, so here, Studman and Rudd viewed Maslow and Herzberg as theories behind many nonprofit programs. They started to connect this to administrators and managers understanding how to recruit, train, recognize, retain, and supervise. They believe in Herzberg's two-factor theory and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I put them together here. And as you can see, the bottom two levels in blue correlate to the hygiene factors of Herzberg. And the top two levels of Maslow correlate to the motivating factors of Herzberg. And I will mention that Maslow's hierarchy of needs are for human, can be applied to your human life, your personal life, as well as your work. They're work related as well. Herzberg is only work related. Okay. So I also included Dr. John C. Maxwell in my research because the problem in my partnering organization, Servants, Hearts, and Hands, is consistency. The research says connection, engagement, and leadership behaviors are important for using motivation to help with consistency. And Maxwell talks about, in his book, The 21 Laws of Leadership, the law of connection. And he says that it's one thing to communicate to people because you believe you have something of value to say. It's another to communicate with people because you believe they have value. He also says, don't invest in controlling your people, but look for ways to connect and get them where they want to go. And finally, he says, know your audience. Ask them, what do you cry about? What do you sing about? And what do you dream? This kind of connection from leadership lets your workers know that you care and you're trying to connect with them. It also gives you information as the leader on what they want, what their goals are, and then you can place them where they will do a great job based on what motivates them. Okay, so now we're going to talk about my methodology. Prior to beginning my consultancy, I took the CITI training that discussed fully the confidentiality characteristics, integrity, and ethical standards that I will be performing with Servants, Hearts, and Hands, volunteers, and workers. For this consultancy project, the method is a mixed method approach. This includes the quantitative and qualitative data to understand the importance of these tools and the effectiveness of all the stakeholders of Servants, Hearts, and Hands. This mixed methods approach will be of explanatory sequential design. For my quantitative part, a four-point Likert scale survey with the options of strongly agree, strongly disagree, and disagree were available for the workers and volunteers of Servants, Hearts, and Hands. This was performed in Qualtrics through the link provided by Gardner Webb. I was able to send the survey out to 17 volunteers of Servants, Hearts, and Hands. Soundkind states that a substantial part of collecting data is making sure that the data are what you think they are and the data represent what you want to know about. There were 6 volunteers and 2 workers that completed the survey with 18 questions, and the survey return rate was 47%. And these are my quantitative survey questions that were sent. And I took one of the questions asked about specific leadership roles that volunteer and workers would like to contribute with Servants, Hearts, and Hands. And the answers consisted of they wanted to be more involved, coordinators, involvement in leadership, financial specialists, administration and office support, deliveries, logistics, newsletter, communications, phone, email bank. So they're very interested in joining in leadership with this organization. And here's some more results from the data. 87.5% of volunteers and workers agree or strongly agree that they want to help expand Servants, Hearts, and Hands. 100% of Servants, Hearts, and Hands volunteers and workers support the cause of feeding and supporting the homeless and agree that Servants, Hearts, and Hands bring a positive light to it. 100% of Servants, Hearts, and Hands volunteers and workers agree or strongly agree that they like serving in this organization. 77.77% of the leaders' positions listed were checked by Servants, Hearts, and Hands volunteers and workers for interest in contributing to Servants, Hearts, and Hands. Here are my qualitative open-ended interview questions. Miriam and Tisdale stated that qualitative researchers are drawn to identifying and appreciating how people understand their encounters, how they build their realms, and what value they assign to their experiences. In the qualitative portion, some open-ended questions were administered in an interview with current volunteers and workers. Careful time was spent addressing each interview question to be able to gather information, as Miriam and Tisdale clarified, and these are researchers, that parts and fragments of information from interviews, observations, or documents are collected and well organized into larger things as the researchers work from their exact to the overall. According to Miriam and Tisdale, researchers who shape constructed off of their instinctual comprehensions and surveillances come from being in the discipline. For this qualitative process, I asked 14 questions of the participating volunteers and workers. All of these questions were open-ended and recorded. The questions were specific to Servants, Hearts, and Hands, and this information gave me further direction for recommendations. Since the owner of the organization had given me names and emails and cell phone numbers of each volunteer, I emailed to see which one would be interested in interviewing, so that I can gather more data on the nonprofit. Once I received an email back agreeing to the interview, I set up a time for the interview, and during each interview, I reminded them of the confidentiality agreement that the owner would not know who said what, and that each question and truthful answer is helpful for the growth of the nonprofit. I also let them know that I would be recording the interview so that I could conduct the interview promptly. For my qualitative interview, there were a total of 4 interviews. 3 were volunteer and 1 was a worker. And the strengths that I pulled from the interview were high expectations are communicated from the owner to the volunteers and workers. It's a well-organized program. There's great communication from the owner. The volunteers and workers have leadership skills. The volunteers and workers are college educated. The volunteers and workers have very giving hearts. The volunteers and workers are happy to serve with Servants, Hearts, and Hands. And then some growth opportunities from these results. Volunteers and workers want more opportunities to serve in leadership positions. Volunteers and workers want to share connections and resources they have. Volunteers and workers want to help expand the program. Volunteers and workers are willing to help find funders, sponsors, and grant writers. Volunteers and workers have connections for collaboration. Volunteers and workers believe in the program and are willing to assist with next steps. So I put another question here from the qualitative results to show the overall feel of the respondents. And it said, please include additional comments about your volunteer experience for the program. And the comments included, this has been one of the most rewarding experiences that my family and I have participated in. Another comment, I pray that we can continue with the opportunity going forward. Another comment, this has been a humbling experience for me to be able to participate with this organization. And another comment, nice program. I would like to know of any expansion of the program that I could be involved in. Okay, so I submit to you, based on my research and my quantitative and qualitative survey results, that using motivation for volunteers and workers is needed for consistency with Servants, Hearts, and Hands. So now I will present my recommendations. All right, my first recommendation consists of visiting and serving with a compatible nonprofit once a quarter to help Servants and Hands create learning opportunities to grow their business and networking capabilities for resources and growth. And my next recommendation is to use the skills-based volunteer checklist. The skill-based volunteering is an effective and innovative way to engage and to engage and be innovative, to use the talent that most nonprofits cannot afford. As executives of nonprofits have stated, there are barriers to nonprofits, including having no money and needing the volunteers to help. Common Impact has partnered with Capital One and Fortune 500 companies to create transformational change with this checklist. And this is to help nonprofits to make sure they are ready for skill-based volunteering. This helps volunteers to not get mismatched in the wrong positions, which waste time and energy, and cause volunteers to be underutilized, underappreciated, and frustrated. But the value with using skill-based volunteers is that they can use their expertise and experience to bring results to their organization. Another recommendation is financial leadership team. Develop the financial leadership positions and duties. Some duties include starting a separate business bank account, having monthly memberships, donation reminders, along with working towards having financial donors, investors, funders, grant writers, publicity and marketing leaders. All right, so before I go on to the next set of recommendations, let's see, do these recommendations match what Maslow's motivational needs state and the survey results? And I say, not working. Yes, they do, check. All right, so a couple of more recommendations. To have committees that add value. More leadership position needs exist within servants' hearts and hands. These positions consist of deliveries, logistics, interest meeting, coordinators, administration, and monthly membership leaders meetings. These committees will help to get the work done and be able to use data to show unified performance expectations so that data can be monitored and assessed. My next recommendation is to start a Facebook and Instagram social media page and have a website and a newsletter. And that will be done by a communication specialist that will establish and include details advertising the organizational awareness, including fundraisers and donation procedures with email distribution information and subscription protocol. And my final recommendation is to form an executive board with diverse skills using skill-based volunteers for leadership positions. As I stated, a communications specialist that will handle the social media, newsletter, and website, a program specialist that will be in charge of the collaboration and the liaison with serving in the compatible nonprofit, as well as having a volunteer system, a bylaws expert that will put together a standard operating and procedures manual, a fundraiser specialist that handles donations, raising money, and anything to do with finances. The creation and development of leadership positions for the skill-based volunteers on the executive board will help meet the Maslow hierarchy of needs. The love and belonging needs that we talked about earlier, the esteem needs, and the self-actualization needs that most volunteers have. These recommendations will also meet what the qualitative and quantitative survey results show. This board will meet monthly, contributing to the organizational goals and objectives for agreed engagement and commitment to develop the organization. Hopefully, these recommendations will enhance the volunteer and workers' experiences with servants' hearts and hands and locate their motivations. These motivations are part of most volunteers, and it hopefully will increase the consistency of these volunteers. I expect this to positively affect the organization and the homeless community it serves. Future research, along with each leadership position, I think that establishing a succession plan to have someone else available for when that specialist or that person cannot be there, or if they leave the nonprofit. These are my resources. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
Excellent. All right. We'll begin with my colleague, Dr. Betsy Jones, who we'll go to her for questions to start with. Dr. Jones.
Thank you. So, Angelique, could you just talk a little bit more about how you tie your recommendations to your data, the data that you collected in your quantitative and qualitative surveys and your interviews? How did you process that data to come up with your recommendations?
I processed that data from the quantitative and qualitative surveys. The volunteers and the workers their answers seem to suggest that they wanted to do more and they wanted to be in leadership with this organization. They love the organization, they love the work, but they want to assist, they suggested communication specialists, email, they just suggested getting on the leadership part of this organization. And then I also tie that to Maslow's motivational needs, because I used to think that, okay, a person is motivated by, of course, what they want, but I didn't know that. I thought that they had to have their own motivation, and they do, but leaders can pull it out, find out what it is that motivates them, what do they want to do, what are their goals, and then help them reach them in the organization. So that's how I tie it.
How can, and I know probably Ms. Brown could talk some about this as well, but what do the volunteers do now? Do they just serve food, or so
they serve food now?
Okay, so they are interested in having more of an impact on the organization.
Definitely, they are.
Than they do. Do you think that will help Servants Hearts and Hands attract more volunteers if they're given more to do? I mean, I'm just thinking as a volunteer, being given more to do, is that more motivating to
according to the survey, according to their answers in the survey, that's what they want to do. Okay. So I guess time will tell.
Yeah,
that's what they suggested they want to do.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jones. Ms. Brown, again, thank you for partnering with Angelique and Gardner-Webb University on this. At this time, I'll go to you for any questions that you have for Angelique or any comments that you'd like to make.
I do not have any comments at this time. I don't have any questions. She covered with me in depth the recommendations, and I'm really excited about moving forward with them. I think they're going to be a great benefit to my organization.
Great. We're glad to hear you. Again, thank you so much for that. Angelique, I have the two form questions we always ask. Which of the courses in the 9-course sequence impacted you the most, and why?
I think it was the 732 class where we had to do assessments on ourselves, and where I learned about me more. That was the most impactful. I also really enjoyed the innovation class for Dr. Jones. I didn't really think I was that creative until that class. It kind of stuck with me that yes, you are. I enjoyed it.
Anybody can be.
Okay. How's this made you a better leader? You said that You learned more about you as a person. Of course, we always say the real project was you
Yeah.
to start with, but has it made you a better leader, and how?
I think it has. I think a while ago I felt like I was more of a servant leader, but now I feel like I'm moving towards a more transformational leader. I am an officer and a leadership position in an organization, and I find that now, especially since all this research about motivation and transformation, that I ask certain questions to see what it is that motivates them, and so that I can help them with that and use them in the organization to get what we all need. So it's kind of like a win-win, but I feel like I'm moving towards being a transformational leader, because transformational leaders inspire others. And I do have, I feel like I've been transformed by God and through this program, and that when I coach or consult or lead in any way, I can only hope that I can inspire others to be transformed.
There's nothing wrong with being a transformational servant leader.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the last is, as you know, Gardner Webb's motto, Pro Deo et Humanitate, for God and humanity, service for God and humanity. So we do expect you to go forward and be a servant, and serve God and humanity and be an ambassador for the university. At this time, we're going to go to our deliberations. Dr. Jones and I, as a committee, I'll ask all of you to step out. You can go into my office or to the classroom down the hall there. I'm going to mute everybody on the Zoom, and we're going to turn our video off. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, we're back on the air. All right, folks, we're back. I hope you can hear me. You want to turn your cameras back on? All right. Come on back in. Welcome, Dr. Angelique Burris. Congratulations. You can see her on the screen. Come on back in and have a seat.
Did you hear me?
I called it years ago. All right. I'll go ahead and give you your charge. As I told you before, you're going to be the only Garden Web that most people ever know. You expect to be a servant, an ambassador, and an authority out in your field. You asked me before we started, what could you do? The sky's the limit. You can work in education, you can work in K-12, you can work in private businesses. You have you have your union card now, you can go out and get whatever, but just always remember that you represent us as well as yourself, and we know that you'll do that well. Dr. Jones?
Yeah, good presentation. I think you obviously, I'd like to hear from Ms. Brown if we could, and just but yeah, I'm sure she has nothing but great things to say about your work with their organization. So I'm sure she appreciates that everything you've done.
All right. So yes, Ms. Brown, you're next on the litany here, and then we'll go to all of the personal friends here. So Ms. Brown, close us out today with any words you have for Angelique.
I do. I pray that her work continues. She truly has a heart to serve, and she's a true leader. Her contribution to my organization, I truly value it, and I look forward to putting all of those things into action. I feel that it will grow my organization and definitely improve my volunteer engagement. And for that, I do thank her for that. And I'm just so excited to see what else she's going to do.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll go around the screen here. Angelique, I'll let you call on the folks on the screen. Joe, we'll let you go last if you're with us.
Okay. Talia? You muted?
Yeah.
Talia, she might not be there. Aunt Francis?
You were so in crap.
Y'all are not muted. I'm calling on y'all last.
Well, I had no doubt. No doubt at all. You've always proven to be who you are, what you are, and now you're getting rewarded for it. So I praise God for all that you are doing and all that God has allowed you to learn. Yeah. God bless you, baby.
Thank you. Auntie?
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to a very beautiful, wonderful, smart young lady. I knew you had it in you, and I just feel like jumping up and down. In your company, I love being in your family. Congratulations, and God bless you.
Thank you. Let's see, Jamie, my daughter. It's she lives in Texas. You're muted.
What did you say? You said nothing yet. I don't know what I'm gonna say. If I'll be able to say anything.
Jimmy, you're muted.
Everybody, come on.
Well, say something, Wayne, so she can hear you.
She's trying to unmute. I think she's having some trouble there.
Who is that?
Oh, is that my daddy? I hear my daddy.
Huh?
You want to say something to me, Daddy?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I see you. You did great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Your mama's here.
Mommy?
Well,
and Teen is here.
Teen already spoke.
Oh.
Well, I'll just say congratulations. You know, I knew you could do it, and I can't talk long. Love you.
I love you too.
I got my handkerchief for her.
And Steve. Jimmy. Go ahead and mute, Mama.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, hi. Yes, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I can't talk long either. You're my role model. I'm proud of you.
I love you.
You cried. I'll get you. I'll get you. I'll get you.
And did Talia come back?
Oh, girl, I just sent you a text.
Oh, okay.
That was beautiful. Your family had beautiful words. I'm so happy for you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Joe.
Joe? He goes last.
Oh, okay. Number one.
All right.
You know, make it, girl. That's what I mean.
All right.
And actually, making me cry and stuff, right? But I love you. Well, love you too.
All right. You get to close us out today. We always let the spouse close. And I'm going to pray for all of us.
It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
I knew she had it in her. Some long nights.
Yeah.
Early mornings.
Yeah.
But as all said, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm not crying to meet my eyeballs is wet.
We know that the spouse takes the brunt of this more than even the student. We get it, and we appreciate that, and you're in the place of honor for us today, because we know without you that this couldn't have happened. You're more important than us, and so we appreciate that about you. Thank you. Wow. All right, so let me close this in prayer today. So if you'll pray with me this afternoon, I'm going to close this in prayer. Our prayer this afternoon is, please let me serve you. This is from St. Teresa of Avila, better known as Sister Teresa. Lord, help me to respond to the slightest prompting of your grace, that I may be a trustworthy instrument for your honor. May your will be done in time and in eternity by me, in me, and through. Amen. Amen. Yay.
Nobody got married again.
It'll be like being newlyweds again, because we'll actually have some time.
Right. Oh, what is that? Oh my God.
And Angie.
Yeah.
I forgot to say one quick thing.
Uh-huh.
Love you, Dr. Burris.
I love you too. Thank y'all so much for being here.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay.